how often can I travel outside of the U.S. on my green card?
As much as you want, but you have to be physically in the United States more often than you are outside of the United States. So it's not the number of in and outs. It's the number of it's the number of days you are out of the country, not the number of times you come in and out.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So you can go. You can go. Where are you from, Kevin?
Barbados.
Okay. Literally, if you chose to, as a green card holder, you can fly to Barbados every Friday night after work, fly back to America Sunday night, go to work Monday through Friday, and do this for the rest of your life. You could literally do that, okay? I mean, it'll be expensive plane tickets, but you can do it because you're in the United States more than you're not, okay? So it has nothing to do with it. It's just the amount of time you're in the U.S.
Okay. So my next question is, I got my green card last year, my VAWA-based green card. Last year, I finalized my divorce May of this year. How soon could I remarry?
Did you...
And petition for my spouse in Barbados.
All right. Now, you got your VAWA last year, you said?
Yes.
Okay. And you're not a citizen yet?
No.
Okay. You can marry whenever you want. You can certainly file for your spouse whenever you want. There's only a bar to filing if you got your green card through a bona fide marriage. You got it as an abused spouse. You can refile and get married whenever you want. You don't have to stay unmarried.
Okay.
If you got your green card through the regular processing and there was no abuse,
I got it through VAWA.
I understand that. I'm just giving you as an example. Then you would have to wait 5 years.
My son, at 14 years old, he took a knife with him to school because he was jumped, and I made a police report about it. And he said he was scared for his life. That's why he brought the knife to school. Anyway, they held him with it, and they sent us, I think, I'm not certain if it's a juvenile court or something or other. Now I want to file for a green card. Will that affect it?
It's family court. And I'm sure
you're
a citizen. I'm sure Child Protective Services came at some point and interviewed you and all of this. Oh, no. Okay.
No.
All right, good. Lucky. It's juvenile court. It's through family court. As long as it's through family court and it's not through the criminal court system, it is not a criminal record for him. Yes, you can file for him.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
My question is, I am up to renew my green card next month.
The 2 or 10 year? The 2 or 10 year?
Huh?
The 2 year or the 10 year?
Oh, the 10 year.
Okay.
And my question is, I am on Medicaid, so I want to know if that's going to be a problem. I was on food stamps also, but I cut that off.
No, go renew. There's no law that says you can't renew your green card because you're on Medicaid.
Okay, I was a little worried about that because I know I was hearing about the,
Don't worry about what you hear. Just listen to me. You're fine.
Okay, and what about the taxes? Do they ask you to bring the prior year tax return?
No, only for your citizenship.
Okay. All right, so don't worry about the benefits.
They're not going to ask you for taxes. Yes, you have to worry about taxes. Yes, you have to file taxes if you work. But if you're asking me specifically, when I renew my green card, will anybody ask to look at a tax return? The answer is no.
Okay. So should I cut off my Medicaid?
No, you need it.
Okay. All right.
Okay? Unless you don't need it, then cut it off. But if you need it, you're entitled to it.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much. I feel so much better.
Good. Thank you.
I sponsored my parents, so they already have their green cards. But I listened to one of the conversations with one of the audiences here that you have to spend most of the time in the U.S. rather than outside. Correct. Now, for my parents' case, at least for now, this is not going to be the case. I mean, they can do 3 months here, 4 months over there, come back.
So then let me tell you what you do. Okay, if you want to sponsor them and they want to get a green card, there's something called a re-entry permit. It's done on an I-131. It's done after they physically come here. It has to be filed when they are physically here. And you give a good, reasonable excuse why they can't live in the United States on a permanent basis for the next 3 years, but also show that within 3 years they will be able to live permanently in the United States, whether it's a medical reason, a job, education, whatever it may be, okay? And you fill it out You submit it while they're here, then they leave, then they can come back and take a fingerprint, then they can leave again, and the government will mail them a re-entry permit in another country, and it's good to stay out for 3 years without losing your green card.
Is it 2 years or 3?
Three. And generally they even allow you, with a good excuse, to renew it for a second time up to 6.
Okay, so you can renew it for 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. Did you say that?
I have personally renewed it 3 times for 9 years. I've heard recently they'll do up to 6. Maybe they'll do 9, but I've personally done, not me because I'm an American citizen, but for my clients, I've done it for up to 9 years without a problem in the past. But I think probably now they'll probably do 6.
All right, so we can do technically 3 forms, like I-131, like maybe 3. That's very reasonable. I can do 3 times.
Two times would be reasonable, maybe 3.
Maybe 3 very extreme. Okay.
Right.
I do have another question for you, which is separate from that.
What?
I'm in the process, basically, of adopting my nephew from overseas.
Right.
When they come here, how long does it take them to receive a passport? Since I am a U.S. citizen,
they would become automatic U.S. citizens as soon as they come here, and they're residing with you as your child, as long as they're under 18.
Okay, so basically within 3 months, maybe at the most. Like I know there is certain procedures that have to be done through the court.
If you're doing an adoption, let's get this right. What country are you adopting, first of all?
Algeria, sir. Algeria. ALG.
Algeria.
North Africa.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
My guess is, and I don't know enough about Algeria, although I was on the border of Algeria because I was in the desert of Morocco and I was looking at the border of Algeria, but I've never actually been to Algeria. I heard Tunis is really pretty, but I've never been. But I don't know if Algeria has signed on to the Hague Convention. My guess is now no. Okay. All right. So then, in order for you to bring a child over from Algeria to a country that is not a signature of the Hague Convention, you can only bring a child over to adopt as an orphan, meaning there's no mother, there's no father. If there is a mother and a father that exists, then there are parents who abandon children. You would have to prove these children have been abandoned, and then you have to strip the parents of their parental rights in Algeria. You have to do a pre-adoption here in the U.S. You say, hey, Algeria stripped these parents of their parental rights. They're terrible parents. They abandoned the kids. Here's the documentation. And then you go to the judge here in America and say, I'm a good father. Look, I had a social worker come. Everything's wonderful in my house, a beautiful home. And they'll give you what's called the pre-adoption. Then you do an orphan petition to bring the children over to America. You don't do the adoption in Algeria. If you do the adoption in Algeria, they'll never come because the parents will sign a consent, and that's not an orphan. Okay? And then
so you have to strip the parents from the parenting rights.
Of their parenting rights, correct. Yeah. Then bring the child over as an orphan petition here in the United States, do the adoption in America, and then when the adoption's completed, that's when they become a U.S. citizen.
Oh, yeah, I will have to follow that with you later on.
Yes.
And before I let you go, 10 seconds here, are they is the kid going to have the freedom of traveling back and forth without any problem?
Yes.
Like anybody else?
Yes.
So they can stay here as much as they want? They can go over there as much as they want?
Because they're U.S. citizens.
Okay, thank you, boss. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I'll see you again.
Okay.
Bye.
So I have a few questions.
What?
So the first one is that I have a 2-year conditional green card,
right,
which expires in January.
Right.
I was told that it's best to renew it, list the condition within 3 months before expiration.
Correct.
And my question is that my wife sometimes, she and I are ups and down in arguments and all kind of things like that, And she was working at this place where she didn't like working there anymore. Mm-hmm. And she get a job that allow her to work out of state.
All right, so this is the problem, Kenrick. Kenrick, this is the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
The government wants to know whether or not you and your wife live together. That's how they look at it. Okay. If you live in the same house, it's a good marriage. If you don't live in the same house, it's not a good marriage. If you have an economic relationship, it's a good marriage. If you don't have an economic relationship, it's not a good marriage. Blinders, like a horse in a horse race. Okay, they don't look at everything. They don't look at, oh, my wife found a better job out of state. We see each other on weekends. It's an economic situation. You know, a lot of couples do that, but immigration's like blinders, like this. Okay, you got to live together, and you got to have an economic relationship. And if you and your wife are having problems, you don't want to have a situation where 90 days beforehand you're in one of those down periods. You're fighting, you're screaming at each other. She refuses to sign paperwork. Now what are you going to do? Okay, so you know you got to do two things: work it out with your wife that you live together, and work it out with your wife that you don't fight. Because otherwise, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a problem. And you know, I don't want to break up marriages. I'm not in the business of breaking up marriages. All right, I already had a marriage that broke up. It's miserable to break up a marriage. Okay, but okay, if you're not living together and you're fighting, what the law says is if you are divorced and you can prove you did live together for a period of time, then you can get your green card without her. Those are your choices.
All right, so it's a few issues. So right now, she and I are on very, very good terms. Yes, as I said, sometimes we're ups and sometimes we're down.
Right.
Yes, and the job are able to come back for a while.
You got to figure out the job thing. You got to figure it out, and you got to live together.
You know. So what I'm saying, what if when the interview, because I think I may have a second interview, and if she could send a video showing that we are in good terms and support, but she just happens to be out of state at the time.
Kenrick.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't understand. I even had hand signals for you. Okay? If you don't live with your wife, if you don't have an economic relationship with your wife, immigration will say it's not a good marriage. Go tell it to the judge. You're in deportation.
Oh.
Period. End of story. Drop the mic. Got it?
Yeah.
So,
all right,
so you got to figure it out.
All right, so there are some of the time when she and I are in arguments and so forth. And
all right, Tammy Ross is saying exactly it. She's going, boy, it's a very sticky in some of these situations. It's sticky in these situations. I can't tell you how to live your life. All I can tell you is this is what the law says. So what I told you before, you got two choices. Figure out how to not to fight and figure out how to live together, or end the marriage. That's it. You want to get a green card? That's the cold hard facts.
So I might ask this straight question. So as I said, some of the time when we are in an argument and so forth, and she's saying certain things, and I have voice note of her what she's saying, and there are times when she stay out all night and stuff like that, and then you can. Would those be evidence?
Everything is evidence. You can file as a battered spouse and not get a divorce. It's just harder to prove. Okay.
I can file as what?
There are 4 ways to remove the conditions. You and your wife show up and you prove you live together and have an economic relationship. You show up alone. I'm divorced, but I did live with her for a period of time. Here's the proof. You show up alone. I did live with her. I don't live with her anymore because she abused me. You show up alone, not with her. I did live with her, and there would be some sort of medical problem if I go home, that I must stay here in America. Those are your options, okay? You need to know more? Have a consultation. Hold on. You got to have a consultation at this point.
I filed my adjustment of status last year, and I just had an interview interview last week. And the officer did not ask of my medical records. And whilst I was filing, I didn't also send any medical records. So I was expecting him to ask of the medical records, and he never did. I also forgot about it. When I got home, I realized it's still with me. I'm asking how I have to get it to them. I tried.
I think at this point you got to wait for them to ask for it.
Okay.
All right.
Is that not going to delay my...
Of course it will.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, the officer's going to look at the file and say, "Oh, I'm ready to approve it." Oh, you don't have the medical records. Now I got to write her a letter. I got to send it to her. Then she's got to send it back to me. And maybe when I get a chance in another 90, 120 days, I'll take a look at the file again. So yeah, you delayed it.
Okay. So I tried calling
You can call to your heart's content. What you need to do, what you need to do, is you have to wait for the officer to write you for it, and then you will respond to that letter. Unfortunately, that's what it is.
Okay.
Right.
My spouse has a conviction for a controlled substance. He had to leave the country 6 years ago under voluntary departure. If he applies for clemency from a governor, would that help him get a green card? We're working on getting the conviction vacated.
Conviction vacated is much better than clemency from the governor. On a drug conviction, they do not have to accept a pardon. They could still bar him. For vacator, they must accept the vacator, which is different than expungement. Work on the vacator first.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. That was my main question.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.